Hello, beautiful people. I'm Connor.
And I'm Becky.
And together we are Another World Belfast. We have a little message to show some love. And this is our podcast. Let's get into it!
Oh, Connor, you're looking well.
Thanks very much. Thank you very much.
Get out of my fucking seat.
Did you do something with your hair?
Yeah,
This is
I went for the Annie.
I love it.
This is identity fraud.
Yeah.
This is what it must be like to record a podcast that isn't visual.
Uh-huh.
It's so relaxing. I'm just sitting here chilling.
Yeah.
My titties are hanging.
Yeah.
Like I'm
Connor's
just
fully naked. You can't even see.
Yeah.
Now, but
We'll get a Connor.
basically, Sean's wearing all
we'll
the
get a Connor
clothes.
cam. I'm doing like what's my reference?
Yeah, well, we can call it like now the Devonish cam.
It's funny. I forget that I'm doing like a visual gag on just me in the corner as producer Seán. I, as producer Seán, have just came out, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
Very sweet.
Congratulations.
Nicole is I just came out as a daddy, actually. Yeah, Nicole is on board.
Dreams made.
We'll switch back. Get into my seat and we'll get on with our...
All right then. I dared to live the dream.
Well, we're back again.
We've got your pedo glasses on today.
Yeah, I've got my Jeffrey Dahmer on. So for anyone that is listening and not watching, number one, what are you doing? You can find us on YouTube. Go on, even if you don't watch it, set it on play and on repeat.
And subscribe.
Ring the bell, do all the bits. Yes, so for anyone that is listening and not watching, Seán was doing all my lines there.
Oh, I know.
In just the most
It was a visual gag.
the most hilarious comedy moment. Are you going to book us for the where are you doing the Doyen?
The Doyen.
Yeah, we'll be next up. Do you think we could headline? Can we headline but next to someone who really should be? You know, let's
Someone opening up.
Yeah.
let's piss off Willie Thompson. You know. So you put him bottom of the belt and we'll just arrive no comedy experience.
Yeah. Just
We're here to steal the
looks
show.
pretty easy.
See what the crack is.
It actually looks like the opposite of easy. I think it is the most shit yourself, terrifying thing, and
What,
I
comedy?
have the utmost respect for anybody who does it.
I think
honestly.
there's one thing about the Doyen though, because you've been doing that as sort of a recurring gig. We went to one of them, and actually Willie Thompson was playing, and he was very, very funny,
really good.
But in fact, almost like to the point of where he was so funny. And we are like so kind of obsessive over your work and the things that you produce. So Willie Thompson's part of Mudblood and another podcast that's wonderful. And almost to that point where I was sort of a wee bit scundered to even like say hello. I didn't want to be that person. But we passed. So
But we're all part of the 1620 family.
I know, but like you also don't want to assume, you know. So then you're on this weird cusp of like I don't want to be rude and like not say hello, but then I also don't want to be a wanker and go and say hello because they're probably used to people going up and doing their heads in the whole night, and also I wouldn't want to assume that they would know who we were in that respect, you know.
He
we will say
was
hello
talking
next time because we were shy.
But he was talking to someone, so it wasn't like we just passed him in a
No.
corridor and we just blanked the boy. But yes, very funny. And if you have some money and you have some spare time, get down to the Doyen. They're being really good at the moment. So you've got your show, and then they're also sponsoring Cork in the North. Yeah, we love Cork.
Good on
in the
them.
North.
It's smart. It's like the Garrick with whiskey and white as well. It's a really like obvious crossover tie type thing, and it's like another way where I mean like the hospitality is having a real tough time at the minute, so it's a really nice way of being able to kind of like do bits of crossover and relevant marketing and stuff, and also kind of like bring yourself a bit of a crowd. You know, actually I noticed that because we've got a partnership with Bullet now, whenever we're meeting our friends, like we were out with Sassy and Fallon and Shane and Carl and all our lovely friends for Sassy's birthday, and we'll just now go to Bullet, you know, and go and sit in the courtyard because you can have a wee vape outside and stuff. And it's nice.
It depends. The friends, they're kind of spicy enough, so you're very much in the space of like, you better not be sucking no dick in those toilets.
Yeah.
At least go out in the street, you know, find a doorway or something. There's public toilets facing. Go and cruise in there, but don't be doing that. Don't be scundering us.
Yeah, but then you know you've got like the sort of the kings that are Carl and Shane there, who we're hoping to hopefully get on the podcast at some stage.
So Carl and Shane are basically
friends.
They are they're number one, they're devil worshippers, they're goths. And there's something, I love the term devil worshipper.
It's the devil or deviled eggs.
Yeah. there's just something inside of me. I kind of constantly reference it while talking to them, but almost then have to apologise at the same time to be like, I'm really sorry. Like, no matter what I need to talk to you about, or no matter how I want to have a conversation with you, my brain will just say devil worshippers, devil worshippers, devil worshippers, and it will come out. I think they know that now. They're wonderful. So we're going to have separately. We're going to have Carson Elliott and Seán Sweeney is Seán's second name. Both absolute sweeties. We're so glad that they found each other, and they've both got a really great story to tell. But so they were there sort of as the queer glitterati of Belfast. You know, everyone knows these cunts.
They always hold a space beautifully, you know, and Seán's like, right, I'm going to get this sorted, and this is even just like getting the bus from the restaurant, the Lisburn Road, down into town. He's like, right, I'll sort out the bill and I'll do all of the things. And you're just like, every crowd needs a Seán, and every crowd needs a Carl to kind of just be like, darling,
there's just
this is going to be fabulous, you know.
There is something about
them.
Carl was sitting speaking to me the other night in Bullet when we all went out, and there's I used to be a hairdresser, Carl used to be a hairdresser, so there's this sort of mutual respect, but also space within that, just to be able to openly say, God, I love your blow dry, and for that not to be like, what? But I love their blow dry. They use some sort of steam pods, something or other, things that I don't understand anymore. But just that kind of like talking to someone and their hair sort of falling and blowing, and there's a real glamour and poise about the whole thing that you just sometimes don't really, you don't really find. You know, I know I've never been that person. I've never been together. You know, I've always either been like, getting so wrecked that I can barely stand, and or flipping tables, or I've now sort of went into this space where I'm actually really comfortable to sit at a table while everyone's chatting and they're kikiing, especially with the gays. They're back and forward, you know. It sort of feels almost like a little bit competitive, and I love to just sort of sit and listen and just sort of have some time away from I love our work, but away from our work and away from our lives a wee bit, you know, just to sort of sit and just sometimes not even listen.
Yeah, it's kind of a new experience for us. Like, for the last 6 years, going on to 7, that like for many years we didn't have any disposable income, you know. So to be able to go out and have a drink, like now, like having a living wage salary, like you sort of forget that that's a thing. Just to go out and now it's still also like mad money, so it's not exactly something we can do very, very often. But like, it was just so enjoyable, and like all of that crowd, every single one of them, we love. They're just really like people that are in the arena doing creative things, or they're doing really good stuff in the activism space, or they've got like a really like specific job that is like really, really helping make a difference. And so the conversations are so interesting, they're so switched on, they're so informed, they're so kind, they're so funny. But it was actually just felt like such a treat, because it's been mince as well, you know, like through lots of connections there. And the year ahead that we have planned with the stuff that we have coming up for Bullet is, and for our own space, is just going to be amazing.
It's very exciting. Turns out our venue, now we're calling it, but our space is in the city centre that is going to be it's going to house our existing projects and then allow us to have an artist community. We're going to have lots of workshops and more ways for the public to interact
and bring people together.
Is also actually based on the fact of you coming in and having a nosy.
Seán.
You is Seán. And you know, I felt like today we didn't need to introduce Seán, only that he came.
We're the same person.
We're the same person.
Exactly.
Yes. In fact, there's a rumour out there. Do you remember we were talking about it on Sassy's podcast? If you haven't listened, go and watch. It was sort of in between Christmas, and it's just the right level of like absolutely manic.
But it was also really short, because we were recording it the same day as you were having like quite an emotional time talking about your article. So like you got it out of you, but we'll have to get Sassy back on again soon to be able to have even more crack.
But we were talking about that on that podcast, about how me and Sassy's creative partner, Nina, are never seen in the same space at the same time. That there is a rumour, and Nina is this like stunning. Now this isn't to say that I'm not these things, but stunning, like just
model, like,
oh my God, such a
elegance.
Beautiful boy, such a wonderful woman. But I love that rumour. Now the rumour, well, we've been seen on camera together. That's the thing. But maybe it was a Parent Trap experience. You know, it's like split screen.
It's deep fake.
It's a deep fake.
Yeah.
we had a body double stand in, and then like the face was superimposed.
That's it. Yeah.
We spent all our CGI budget on that.
We have a CGI budget.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
We barely have the budget for Seán's little edits.
That is our CGI budget.
Connor actually isn't wearing glasses.
No, it was
Very
like
clever.
that time I had the digitally enhanced eyes.
I'm actually actually completely bald. Maybe people may not know this, but my hair is digitally added every episode.
A little bit close to the bone because I'm getting there. Yeah, this is an engineering feat. We are soon to have probably a shaved head. I already had a fucking shaved head, and then COVID came and we grew it out and we were having fun, and I was like, oh, it's going to go yellow.
And now your hair is a key brand asset.
Yes. But I think I'm going to have to start doing something else that's sort of different. I'm addicted to the fact now that it's so easy for people to recognise and then start a conversation. So many times we've been stopped in the street where someone's like, oh, I listened to your podcast, or I've seen this thing you did, or I've seen you at this event, and that wouldn't happen. Do you know, it's like there's a woman in Dunmurry that has blue hair.
Yes.
And we see her all the time. Like, don't know the woman, never spoke to the woman.
Oh, I think we've only just stopped her at the bus stop and told her hair was lovely.
Oh, we told her hair was gorgeous, obviously. But I see her everywhere. When you're driving, so you're like watching the road or whatever. But if we're driving and I look in through all the shops, I so often spot her.
Yeah.
You know. But we'll work out some other sort of way to professionally attention seek.
And the reason I said Seán was because I was listening back to something. We were looking for a clip for something, and I realised that we'd said something on a previous episode where we were talking to you, Seán, but like it wasn't necessarily clear if you couldn't see the screen.
Oh, yeah,
so I'm trying to remind myself that making sure that if we're referring to you and you're not like answering us back again, then we make that clear for the people who are listening instead of watching.
Seán's our producer and does that in the studio. This is 1620. Go and follow them on Instagram and all the rest of it.
Producer/muse. Yeah, / creative director.
And is also are you the lead singer in Search Party? Would you say that?
Yeah.
Perfect. So you're going to be the breakaway when you break up. You're the Harry Styles.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Or the Yoko Ono.
Oh, are you the Yoko, or do you have a Yoko?
Is that what Nicole is?
Oh God.
Oh, hair.
No.
Although I suppose she's been there the whole time, so it would have to be maybe if one of the other band members gets a new partner, that becomes the Yoko. Yeah, I see it.
I don't know what's the Belfast version of a Yoko. I suppose it's
a yoke.
But if Yoko goes,
one yoke.
If Yoko goes on stage and kind of randomly if she'd randomly do that through songs, I think they very quickly realised not to let Yoko Ono have a mic. But if that was her, then maybe the Belfast version of that is just going halfway through your set.
Yeah,
you're just getting to the moment.
Yeah. Our Yoko Ono is my inner saboteur.
Yes,
Betty.
Your inner saboteur, who?
Betty.
Betty and I.
Fuck up, Betty.
The Bettys and the Peggies and that's who they are. Well, we are round the houses the whole way back to RuPaul's Drag Race, which this is unofficially a recap show for, where we talk about not the hottest tea, the coldest tea from about 10 years ago.
Congealed tea.
Yeah, mouldy tea.
Yeah. That tea's gone fucking freezing.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Your milk's off, and I'm going to tell everyone. But today we do have an agenda, not just the gay agenda, but we are going to be talking all about our upcoming project. So that one that we mentioned, which is called Greenhouses in the city centre. It's on Victoria Street. It's going to be a creative share space, an artist members club, and an eco fashion hub. Stop it.
Yeah, a place for creativity and for people to come together to make things better.
Oh my God. So it's going to be opening up in April time. And just as a sort of a wee bit of backstory on that, in case you don't know, we have been part funded by the council to fund a few wages that we desperately needed for us. They were living wages, and also for a couple of new staff. Today on the episode, we're going to be talking about those staff, and we are also going to be talking about some of the other ways that we're collaborating with Belfast 2024. Belfast 2024 is an exciting game changer of a cultural programme. I keep on saying that because Michael Long said it and it arrived into the paper, but it shows, and they used it as a headline, it just shows the sort of power of words and messaging and marketing in that sense. Because now, every time I mention it, it is a game changer.
Yeah. But it's also like, even whenever we're creating, like, for example, creating Greenhouse, we know that, like, whenever you're doing media, whenever you're talking about something, like, the first couple of weeks or months of how you describe something will end up being the narrative. And you can evolve it and tweak it as you go. But it's why we're, like, really keen on making sure that we get those words right, so that whenever we start to say them and repeat them, that then people hear them in that repeated way. And it's much easier for people to digest and understand what something is, you know?
over the years we've realised how important that is, because we've sort of been haunted by the ghost of a tampon pack.
Yeah.
You know, where no matter what you do and no matter how you grow and where you go with your project and your art and everything else, we constantly meet people that are like, "Oh, so do you do doing the period packs then?" And yes, that is a part of it. And we're up for talking about that. There's no shame surrounding that subject. And while we're at it, it should be treated just like other things you can get in toilets, like toilet roll and all the rest of it. And we should change policies around that.
Fuck the patriarchy.
Exactly. But yes, it's that was sort of one of our original messages, and now that sort of hangs on. So we're quite keen to. In fact, even in just what we were saying there about it sort of being the members' space and all the rest of it, I don't think I've got a photographic memory.
A visual memory.
I've got a visual memory.
Yeah.
So I actually read. So we put that into our bio on Instagram, and I like flick through my Rolodex of hate. But no, I flick through my Rolodex of information, and I see that image.
Yeah.
So
same.
it really helps me, and I think actually a lot of other people do that too.
Yeah.
Because it's quite a big sort of. It's not a big change for us in terms of our existing projects, because they're going to stay on. In fact, we want to make them bigger and better, and we're going to be able to reach more people. But it is quite a change for us, even in terms of there's my farting chair again.
You were farting.
I know, stop it. I'm a celiac, you know, what can you do? But it's definitely a change for us, because the building is massive. You know, it wasn't
4,000 square foot.
It wasn't even called Greenhouse before we seen it, but it's got this gorgeous glass roof. It was called Clubhouse before, which I still really love the name
I know,
of.
same.
But
what was the original?
it's called Clubhouse before.
Oh, yes.
Sort of themed around like a sort of gentleman's private club, you know, that kind of an idea where you would access that space and those people. And our thought was then it would have been the money that mostly the old boys clubs have, but now it's the creativity that the cool new wave of artists and activists have.
But it's also like the idea of it was that clubs would exist within it, you know, and that still carries through. But now we call it Greenhouse because of the architectural features, but also because it's like a place for growth, you know, and whether that is growth in mental health, whether it's growth in connections, whether it's growth in community groups and things like that. We just want to have like a space that is accessible to all, you know. Different parts of it will be membership based, parts of it won't be accessible to all, but that preserves those parts for people to kind of like get more skin in the game and be a more active community. But in terms of our like workshop on the ground floor, it'll be publicly accessible, that people can, you know, pay and play, as it were, so you can come in, work, do something creative, all the rest of it. Or if there is like everything from like a board game club to Stitch and Bitch can come in, and rather than maybe going to like a Cafe Nero or a similar chain, something like it. Similar coffee chains are also problematic, but shop local. But the idea is then that people can pay in their money, and then they can come and have our teas and our coffees, but also they can stay a bit longer and they can spread themselves out, and they're not worried about having to listen to Sandra on the table next door, like bitching about her husband, or, you know, kids running around them and stuff.
That's one of the key things. So we're not going to have children on site for health and safety reasons, officially, but also just because it changes the energy in a space. So you're in a cafe, and some of the conversations that we have are reasonably spicy. But we're adults, and we want to talk about sex, and we want to talk about drugs, and we want to talk to your friend who is, I don't know, substance dependent on something and wants to harm themselves. You know, you have to be there. You have to hold a space that there is a place for those conversations. And often if there's some child running about, it just doesn't feel appropriate. I mean, do you remember the last time? Now, we didn't choose it, but we were in one of those coffee chains near the BT Tower. And we were sitting with a couple of our friends, and we're all sort of super queer, and we're activists and we're artists and all the rest of it. So the conversation was spicy.
Can be spicy enough, yeah.
And they were sitting beside us with the prams, you know, and it's just like, oh.
Well, rightly so. Like, if kids are in the room, kids will pull the attention, and that's right. You know, they're kids. Of course they should. The parents that are there need to pay attention to them and need to make sure that they're safe and entertained and all the rest of it. But it's also really important that we provide a space for parents as well to be themselves, not to be in the role of mummy or daddy or auntie or uncle or granny or whoever. We need to provide spaces for people to go and get their head showered, basically, where they can go and do something a bit creative. They can talk. Mental health is going to be like a really important theme within the space, where we can actively encourage conversations. Oh, and there's something beautiful that happens when people are busy with their hands or they're with a different group of people. You know, sometimes it gives people the opportunity to come and not be with their friends maybe that they see all the time, that maybe they have a bit of baggage with, or that hold them in a particular role or space. But maybe if you're like, actually, do you know what? I am going to go and learn how to use a sewing machine, or I am going to go and learn how to do this. And you meet a whole different group of people. It gives you this whole different way of being able to talk about who you are, what your life is, and it gives you this like different lease of life, you know. So I think it's really, really important. We've always had it that our spaces are, you know, 16 plus, 18 plus, but this will continue for that reason. And then on top of it now, with the reason of self-expression and mental health, on top of that now is also, there's a lot of sewing going to be taking place, not exclusively, but a lot of it. So there's going to be needles and pins and equipment and all the rest of it. So so we want to just be able to provide that alternative.
I'm so excited. I think it sounds amazing. See, for one, there's going to be like, see that space for people to have those conversations. I think you're going to find there's so many of the creative community that will convene there.
I hope so.
Like, I like a load of years ago had like this wee collective, a music collective that we would meet up to like plan gigs for each other and like, or try and create our own opportunities within the music scene here, because there wasn't an awful lot, and we would try and find places to meet up. It's always like, you know, something that involves a good lot of money, because like you have to stay there a long time, you have to like buy a couple of coffees, or if it's after if we're meeting after work or at the weekend, you have to go to a bar, you know, instead of a cafe, and you have to buy pints, and not everybody has the money for that. Also, it's not private enough to like sort of have those talks. It's noisy, it's like it's not the space for it. So I think you'll find those type of people that are trying to make things happen and trying to
make things
cooperate
better.
You're going to find those people coming together there.
I hope so.
And all the wee workshops sound amazing too. Like I'm looking forward to like learn how to sew properly.
Yeah, of course. Next you'll be on fucking Drag Race. Can we be your team?
Can you be like Belfast Metamorphosis?
Aye.
Well, you can be like Batty Morphosis.
Nicole has said to me before, she was like if we were doing this, I would 100% be like making your outfits.
100%. Oh my God, let's make this happen.
If your inner saboteur is Betty, would you be Betty? Would you know, like
Betty?
Sort of Betty.
Betty gets to come out then.
Betty.
You know, what we think of it though? You know, it would sort of be like a Belfast
Betty
Mara rip-off. But Betty shite. That's good.
But my messos.
Of course.
So like, and she learned how to sew because she made all of her own like outfits and stuff, and like, you know, she was a real hippie. Yeah, and so she would make her own like we like hippie designs, and we like flared jeans and like tied hair tops, and so like I love that side of things, and I don't get to do it as much now, but I used to come in them only with like like ideas for tops and stuff.
Yes.
And when I was a bit more like, you know, hanging about the town and
when you were an emo,
when I was an emo, I used to get her like I used to find things like tops that had like wings, you know, on the back of it. No, like, but we'd get her to cut that out and attach it to like this shirt or something, and patch things up. And I loved all that. So, and I've always wanted to get into that for like, you know, stage presence and all too, like to design my own outfits for.
Totally.
That's the key.
I would love to do that.
That's such a key element, I think, to performance. And also that it's to wind it right back to what you were saying about kind of working together as a collective. I think that's key. You know, it's like, how did you do it? With this collection of people, you know, they trusted us, and we fostered the trust even within our group to then be able to say, oh, do you know, can I give my opinion on that? And you might be struggling with that, but my friend knows what to do there. Sure, if you help them out, they'll help you out doing something in future. But it's more of a bartering system than it is just like it's about money, because there's so much of what we've experienced in the local art scene is this like, well, if you're not getting paid for it, we're not doing it. And it's like, well, would you rather create something that is super creative, that is game changing, that is new, that maybe there isn't very much money in, or would you rather do what's expected in some bar and get paid 50 quid for it? I mean, it'd be great if you could do both, to be honest. But it's so much of the time we're really attached to that we only see value in like financial value, where there's value in relationships, in building something together, in coming up with someone, you know, and not just on drugs.
There's efficiencies though, and there's a lot of waste in that, you know, maybe you might only need a particular piece of equipment for one gig, but you don't really want to buy it. And it's like, where do you go to find out if you could borrow it from somebody who also bought that one piece of equipment, or who's done that venue before and knows that actually you got to be careful with the sound of that because of whatever, or there's no plugs there or whatever. So it's been able to share resources, share knowledge, because everybody gets better then, you know, and it means that things can just generally, you can create more of a scene. And I think that's kind of the thing that's been a bit of a running theme for us. It's like there is a strong and vibrant music scene here, and it's really well supported in terms of, you know, amazing resources like the OES Centre and things like that. But none of these things can operate in isolation. There needs to be more. There also needs to be more spaces, as we've talked as well about licensing and things like that, that create a wee bit more of a different way to interact with people, you know? And it's also like the queer scene, you know? It's like there's a lot of people that don't do alcohol for many reasons, you know? Either they choose not to, they can't, or they are on a recovery journey, or there's a religious reason or a societal reason, whatever that is. Or maybe they're under 18, you know? And it's like, where are the spaces that exist that people can go and interact with entertainment, or that can interact with other queer people around them, that means that it's a bit more inclusive to people too, you know?
I think right now it feels a bit like we're holding back this sort of dam, because we've put our expressions of interest out there. If you're interested in joining our community and signing up for workshops and doing stuff, we've put out a little community survey, and we are just gathering
feedback,
some of your details, like your email addresses and things, just so that we can keep people that are interested the most informed that we can. But we've had a lot of interest in that already, and we feel like we're holding back this dam, and on the other side of it is like lots of rotten carpet tiles and roofing issues,
Hairy
and
roofs.
paint and all of the rest of it. So we will get there. And it's sort of, when you're working in the space and you're tired and it's very cold right now, and everyone's a wee bit sort of done, it's actually thinking of that, you know, the fact that a community is waiting. And it's what we've heard in the streets for so many years, that there is a real need in the creative space, but also in the activism space
And the charity space as well.
The fact that there's just no space to meet up. And it may be, again, you were saying about being sober, but it might be a safety thing. Maybe if you are or it might just be that your group is actively under attack. Like, for example, if you were pro LGBT issues, or you're pro choice, or you are, you know, insert all of those
Or you're
other
not white.
categories. It may not be that you want to sit in a bar, or you even want to sit above the sunflower and have that conversation, you know. And then it's the expense.
Well, I think we've talked about this before on the show, that like there's a real lack of places for artists to perform here, and like there's not enough variety. But something I didn't realize until a few years ago is just how few safe spaces there are to appreciate music or art. Because if you think of someone who wants to go see a rock show or like a metal show, like a lot of the bars that would cater for that maybe have like history of it not really being a great place for women, for queer people. Like, it's so having that space to put on those type of events too, like that takes you away from this dark place where there's not a lot of, you know, safety around you. Like it's fantastic too.
Well, safety to express yourself as well. One thing that we will be doing whenever we're deciding on who's actually going to be part of that membership, and the types of people that can access the space and access the services and all the rest of it within it, is really thinking about people who are more marginalised in society. So that goes anywhere from women through queer people to people of colour, and right on down that list. But we'll really be thinking about that, and then also with a focus on sustainability, on fashion, and on textiles, which kind of leads us into our some of the partnerships that we've put together, that we've been working together to make this space happen, because a lot of them are from the fashion world, and they are fucking mind-blowing.
So I suppose the first, so as part of Belfast 24, one of the things that was part of the entry conditions, because it was a competition, it was a design competition, that there was 194 entries. And
we're winners, baby.
and 17 winners. And you know, it's important to say as well, go on to Belfast 24, Belfast 2024. There was a wee bit of sort of change in the name of it over the last sort of year of the process, but they've landed on Belfast 2024. So go onto their social and follow them, because that's the place where you're going to find all of the other stuff that's happening at the same time. It's all very, very exciting. Huge, everything from like big organisations like Belfast International Arts Festival, the Ulster Orchestra, right through to individual artists that are doing really cool stuff in the city. So we're very proud to be part of that group. There's also some really incredible commission projects that are going to be coming that we're going to talk about as well. But as part of the process, what they wanted to do in order to stimulate collaboration and stimulate the opportunity to broaden out the number of voices that were being represented was they wanted every project that we're entering to work with strategic partners. And of course, at first, we were sitting right in our egos and we were like, we don't need partners. We always work with partners, because we actually do. You know, we try to always
It's in our DNA to collaborate.
Yeah, we always want to collaborate. We always want to share our platform. We always want to say, if you do this, it helps us and it also helps you at the same time. That's kind of just how we work. However, they wanted that to be more of a formal thing where it was more agreed and there was more deliverables and things. So we went back out of our egos again and we sat and we thought about it. And at the time, and this is what sort of kick-started it. This time last year, we were doing another podcast for a podcast called QCast. So it was Queen's podcast for a team called the Queen's Communities in Place team, which is led by Professor Kathryn Higgins. Our wonderful friend Stephen Mullen put us together doing this podcast about people that were in the community doing things. Stephen, hello, we love you.
As a side on Stephen, Stephen works in sound and is such a fan of sound and visuals, does all that sort of stuff for Queens, and in his own life, he's very talented. His feedback on you and all of our interactions on the visual component of this and the sound was, we seen him in Umi the other day with your folks.
Yeah.
He was buzzing.
Hi, Mum and Dad.
So,
That's really big praise, because I very much respect Stephen as a, like...
Oh, you're not just saying that, you do know who he is?
Yes.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
He's great.
I really think Stephen.
Well, he's a big fan.
Fantastic.
He's a really big fan.
We love him. He's just like so supportive, just real activist, real good human, has been so helpful to us over the years as well, and just like adore him. But it's like, it's the thing that happens, you know, good relationships and connections, and the next thing it all builds. And there's so many connections in all of this that we're about to explain, right through to our new hires as well. And that comes back to here too. You can talk about nobody in this city.
Stephen done Search Party's first ever photo shoot and designed our first ever like album artwork.
Oh,
Like for nothing.
He's good
just
human.
like and so talented and just amazing. Like
yeah. He's sort of
such a nice person.
There's a real honesty in that sometimes you don't find.
Yeah.
That the agenda is actually creating and working together.
Yeah, just doing good stuff.
Yeah.
He
we really like
walked
him.
Pride with us this year and came and gave us these gorgeous Polaroids
Oh,
throughout the journey as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll have to frame them or something.
Yeah, totally. We're going to do something really fun with them. But so Stephen introduced us to Professor Kathryn Higgins, who I'm not going to call Kathy. We had such a gag on the podcast. Yeah. It was a somewhat serious subject matter podcast because it's serious topics, you know.
We're talking about the economics of Northern Ireland and how that affects Europe, etc., etc. And we arrived in like, hey, Queen!
Yeah. But Kathy's wonderful. We had a pure gag. We gave Stephen, as you probably understand, a wee bit of a ball ache in terms of trying to edit it afterwards to try and make it like just spicy enough to, or just representative of the conversation, but also like making sure that there was no swearing and stuff like that. But we did our best, but it was really, really good. We were really proud of it. But at the end of it, Kathy had said to us, you know, love your work. If there's anything I can ever do to help, let me know. So this was sort of fresh on our shelves at the time whenever we were working away with trying to figure out who our strategic partners were. And one of the things that we'd talked to her about was about measuring impact. You know, it's something really important as a charity and as a CIC. We measure and we note. So if we've sent out packs to an organisation, we have those listed. We know how many items went into them. We know what they got. You know, we have numbers on all of that stuff.
Feedback as well. What was useful, what wasn't.
Exactly. It's like, otherwise, what's the point? Otherwise, not what's the point? You're still given the stuff. But you have to be able to answer to, if the public is giving you money, you've got to be able to turn around and say, well, this is what we did with it. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and as a CIC that exists, but as a charity, it's much, much more, you know, and we are led to believe we should be receiving our charity number in the next month, all being well.
We've been talking about this for, it feels like, about 10 years.
Yeah.
If you are a decision maker within the Charity Commission, get that rubber stamp, whatever that is, and bloody use it, please. By all accounts, we're grand. We've did all the work. We've filled in all the millions of forms, and they are happy. They just have to meet and actually. I imagine they do a physical. Boom.
Yeah.
And it takes 1 second. But
it was August where all of our forms were signed off, and the fact that it's now March before we're getting our number is a bit difficult. But I think they need more resource. It's
They're
like everything
flooded.
else in this country. They need more resource. They need more funding. They need to be able to do that because it really is impeding people on doing really good work. Do you know what I mean?
What if there was just like an ink shortage for the stamp?
Could be.
Probably.
That could be it. You know, it's
Probably.
probably Brexit.
that is what it
Not
is.
getting ink anywhere.
It's stuck in some red lane somewhere.
But so Kathy offered this, and then of course we were talking to the wonderful team at Belfast 24, and they were talking about strategic partners, and we thought, okay, well actually they can offer us something better than what we can do, which is like an academic level version of impact assessment. And we thought, well, if we bring that in at the earliest possible stage, we can gather data to prove a hypothesis throughout every opportunity within the project. And then what that also does is it gives you a social return on investment. So, you know, we talk about return on investment. For every pound invested in roads, it delivers back more money in terms of tourism or in terms of infrastructure or whatever. It's the same thing socially. So we want to be able to prove that with the money that's been invested into our project, we're able to deliver multiples of it back into the community afterwards. So we're good investment because we're doing good things. There's a way to actually calculate that and prove that. They're going to help us do that. Her and her lovely team, Nikki, are going to help us to do that in a really earnest way. So we were very glad whenever they said that they would sign up to do that. At the same time, we were also working in Queen's on a panel discussion, which we brought in Mary Brady and Belfast City Council were organising it around sort of November 2022, I think it was. And we did a panel discussion talking about sustainable fashion, talking about fast fashion and waste and consumerism and all of that sort of stuff. And on that panel, we met the gorgeous Alison Gault, who is a senior lecturer at Ulster University.
This is a PSA, but Alison Gault is a fucking rock star.
Total amazing
Oh,
woman.
she really
We
is.
love her.
She has that killer something, that energy, doesn't she?
Yeah. Fierceness, but in a really gentle way.
Oh, she cares.
You know? Yeah.
You know?
So we asked Alison as well, with all of her, she's so interesting to talk to, has all of this amazing background in understanding about materials, the components of materials, the sourcing of them, is looking really at like legacy and heritage projects here and things like, you know, she sort of does research projects where she'll maybe be looking at like the history of the mills here and what that looks like and how we can reinvigorate those skills and put them back out into the current sphere. So we asked Alison if she would also consider to be one of our strategic partners, and we were over the moon whenever she said yes. And so that's a really great link with us in terms of both the current student body within the Belfast School of Art and textile art and textile art design and fashion. So it means that we can work with the student population that's there now. We can feed into them and they can feed into us. And then also with the postgrads or the former student body that would have existed before, with the key insight that came from another of our strategic partners, who's Lucinda Graham, that when people leave uni, or when people are in uni and they're studying fashion, there's often a bit of a paywall that comes with it because it's on them to be able to provide their own resources and their own fabrics and things like that. The university does help with some of it, and they will get donations of things to be used. But if somebody wants to go and work with, I don't know, linen or something specific, they have to go and get that. So that's not something, if you're studying geology, you know, you maybe have to buy your own hammer. I know, but there is like a bigger paywall with that. There's also a thing that happens with community. So whenever you're working in a work space in the uni where you've got somebody sitting next to you, you can turn around and say, oh, what way should I take this next? Do you think I should try it this way or this way? And you've got a sounding board to be able to check that off against. That doesn't happen once you've left uni unless you actively go to create it. So what we want to do is be able to create that space as kind of like a halfway house post-uni, that it means that students can come and be part of it. And within that space, they can learn to do workshops, they can share their skills, they can learn other skills. And that has a bit of a movement to it. So I mentioned Lucy there as well. Do you want to talk about Lucy?
Lucinda is she's called Lucy Graham. She her brand name is called Lucinda, and she would describe herself as eco-punk in her aesthetic and design. We, beyond anything else that she's did in her career, we just really like the person. Like, we really love her. We love her family as well. They're so sweet. Shout out to Jude. We first really connected during the pandemic, and we had a few days. We had the privilege of driving way out of the city and up to the part of the world that she's from, which is out in the country, and just sitting at a sort of weirdly
socially distanced in the garden.
Weirdly sort of a big distance at the time, because it's sort of the meters got gradually less over time, but then it was something like 5 meters or something, and we were sitting apart eating a wee bit of her mummy's soup and chatting about stuff. But it was at the time of all of the stuff kicking off, of the sort of second wave of all the BLM stuff, and we were talking about that kind of social inequality and how you can use your power and your privilege. One, by being aware of that, that's important for you in your life and your community, but how you can then use that position that you have as someone who isn't a person of colour, who isn't struggling with a disability, or who isn't queer, to then really to shout about those subjects and raise awareness around them. And that's what led us into the conversation about university, about how it really takes a certain level of privilege to be successful, and often it helps if you've got a daddy that wants to sort of fund it all for you. But Lucinda in her Lucy in her brand, which is called Lucinda, has did all sorts of stuff. She's had stuff on. She did a couple of rudimental videos. She's had stuff on the Grammys. She what else is her list? It just is non-stop.
Yeah, so sort of amazing stylist, but also like a sustainable designer. So the things that she creates and makes and wears and social media content, she's just got that sort of magic factor. So A Quiet Ceremony is her brand, and she goes by the name Lucinda Graham. Or Lucinda G in terms of her thing. So I will put links to all of this below so you can go and check her out. But
maybe we've just dead named the person. Maybe we've just dead named the woman. Is that what the crack is? Has Lucy had a funeral?
No, we're just still known as her friends to Lucy. Yeah. But it's just like the difference in the brand, I suppose.
But no, she's a very, very, very impressive person, and we love the way that she speaks. We love how she interacts with the world. Right now, she's cruising about London Fashion Week, doing all sorts of stuff. She's very exciting. So since having those conversations, she has moved out to London to make all sorts of stuff happen. But she is one of our strategic partners for Greenhouse, and we obviously had that founding kind of thought and experience with her based on her experience in university, and we've kind of just carried that on. So it's very exciting for us to maybe have probably each of our strategic partners, if it's Ulster University or Queen's or it's Lucinda or it's anyone else that we're about to speak about, each of them could give a bit of a masterclass, and that'll be something that we're going to focus on Greenhouse. But to have the opportunity to have someone like that speak about their career and what it's like coming up is invaluable, because often it's not we've spoken about this before, but it's often not what you would think it is. It's that from small things big things grow, and Lucinda is very sort of open about that you just kind
very
of
real, very practical.
You kind of just have to put the work in, and eventually, all at once, it seems in the last couple of years, she's really taken off. It's holding faith until that happens. Someone else who has really taken off in our list of I can't say that word.
Strategic partners.
Thank you. Strategic partners is our lovely Great British Sewing Bee finalist that we're so lucky to have for the project.
Angeline Murphy, who we love. We met Angeline at an event at 2 Royal Avenue a couple of years ago. And my
fun.
God, she's just so much crack, such a sweet person, and really, really fun, but also has this amazing ability to make sewing easy, accessible, attractive, and take away some of the barriers around it. So she creates really, really good, solid quality online content. She has a YouTube channel. Again, we'll link to all of this below.
Oh, Seán, you could watch that. It's like an A to Z of sewing.
That Great British Sewing Bee was class.
It's so well. You've maybe seen her on it. She does these lovely collaboration videos as well, where someone wants to learn something, and then they sort of make it together. She offered us one, and I said that we would love to make a jockstrap from an old IKEA bag or something. And funny, we've never heard back from that one.
She was that'll happen.
maybe we'll do that.
And isn't it Fergal, her husband, is also doing videos now?
Yes.
With her, so it's really
Her
important
husband's
that
very
it's not
impressive as well.
Yeah, just both. It's like the sort of the greater than the sum of the parts idea. Whenever they do something together, it's like both of them are really incredible. But doing it together is amazing because it's also really important that we remove a lot of the misogyny that comes with that sort of thing. It's like anybody can pick up a needle and thread or a sewing machine. We should all be able to take care of even mending and managing our clothing ourselves. So Angeline is on to help us with helping. She's actually going to be meeting her this week, going to be helping us with like making sure that we are supplying the right items to people, that we've set up the right conditions for people to be able to learn, that she has a lot of experience of doing that for real in that way that's very, very current. And we're going to be working with her as well on our project that we're going to be talking about shortly as well.
Angeline, just as a side before we get on to anyone else that we're working with, was actually part of the team that we were part of, because now we're close personal friends with Lizzo.
True.
But we were lucky enough to be able to dress her in the summer for Belsonic, and this was a little sort of contested fact at the time, but she absolutely 100% made a garment for Lizzo that she wore on her world tour. She's so talented. The fact that stylist, or that Lizzo's kind of main wardrobe person, was able to come and say, look, I've got this fabric. It's a very sort of Lizzo fabric. It's actually the one that she drapes in some of her early shots, this gorgeous crystally rhinestoned net. But I've got this fabric. I don't know how it's going to work, but we need to put it as part of this outfit because something else hasn't worked for us. And
we need you to make a top.
We need you to make it. And she made it in no time. It was stunning. They were actually really, really impressed. It's the sort of thing where you're just like, you're hoping for the moment where they say, do you want to just run away with a circus? Do you want to be a full-time stylist to
like,
Lizzo?
I've got lovely children, a lovely husband, a brilliant job, and just gorgeous life. So no, I can't.
But she is she's very, very talented, and she's done all sorts of stuff. I just love. And there's very little on another Royal Belfast feed that's really truly wholesome. Even a lot of the sewing stuff, the remaking pages or whatever. It's none of the kind of like, somebody called Sandra. It's no offense to anyone called Sandra, but it's not that. It's not so nice. It's like, throw a denim jacket down, chop it up, throw bleach at it, and make it punk. But yeah, she makes it. She sort of makes sewing a little bit sexier, with the way that she puts it out there. So we are big fans, and we're actually really looking forward to seeing her this week and getting all the goss and all the stuff that's coming up.
And we were really delighted, and we couldn't get. So the next person is Sara O'Neill, who is our gorgeous friend, incredible designer, to the stars, has a beautiful brand called EDAC, where there's no question you will have seen it, where she has had some of her designs featured on the Oscars red carpet this year. The Edge has been wearing one of her hand-painted jackets.
I think her list is like BAFTA, Oscars, Golden Globes.
Yeah.
It probably name most others.
Yeah. One of the most high-profile Irish designers, I would say, out there right now.
I would say so. And for years, Sarah still is, but for years, Sarah was like this sort of emo punk kind of, fuck the system type. And
still very much is, but just much more ethereal.
Yes. It's now she's fucking the expectations and the system that's sort of put upon us as humans, those kind of steps that we've talked about, the kind of the boxes that you have to check off. She's living up in the North Coast with her sexy surfer giant Viking type boyfriend. Or your boyfriend, Al Mini, but she was punking in that scene for years, and then for years when I was on the scene doing hair and doing styling and doing creative direction around photographs for anywhere from advertising to fashion bits, she was always really shit hot. It was always Sara O'Neill that was doing the fashion weeks and the big things and celebrities that came through. Do you know why she gets those jobs though? It's always I think a much more important important thing than anything else is just she's a decent person.
Yeah, she's not a gatekeeper.
She's good to work with.
Yeah.
You can ask her any question.
Really sound.
Yeah, she's just sound. You know, she's a sweetie.
She's also one of my favourite political commentators, I have to always say as well.
She's
and I always
good.
say this to her too. She's just really switched on, really brave, what she says, really smart, can really just like cut through an issue and just say it exactly as it is. So I like, kind of never miss her stories if I can avoid it, and even on Twitter as well. So she has some amazing insights to share with us as well around things like local manufacturing. I know that her... we'll have to say shout out to Lorraine as well that makes her kimonos, who has this incredible training that makes these beautiful garments in a really authentic way. But both of them have a wish to be able to, how do we help have more great quality manufacturing happening here, because they're also very interested in like slow fashion and, you know, quality over quantity. You know, I remember seeing a conversation where somebody said, "Oh, why don't you put your design on a phone cover?" And Sarah's just like, "Because I'm not interested in that. You know, I'm interested in making sure that the quality and the integrity of the brand is great, but also I just don't want to create plastic shite, you know, just to get my name on stuff." You know, she's much more interested in doing things right, which is so attractive to us. And it's like, how do we share a lot of those skills and make sure that we're creating the conditions for opportunities for work as well? So we've got some really interesting conversations to have that may not necessarily happen within the next year for our current site, but certainly would be our ambition for the future around helping to provide a space for employment opportunities around actual garment making and things as well.
It's so important that, and it is really interesting to kind of explore that. I lived and worked... I did an internship with a sustainable shoe brand called Indusol. They're based in Bali. Long story, we'll tell you it someday. But as part of that, I got to meet a lot of creatives that were based on that island, and they were making all sorts of things from like my friend Elle made these beautiful designer leather shoes. My friend Ellie used to make these gorgeous kimonos, but it was based off the back of the fact that there was manufacturing there. That if you came up with an idea that week, you could find someone. You do the rounds, you do a few workshops, you find someone, they make you a concept, and then they send it off to. And I mean, when I say factory, I don't mean like these big, it's sort of what you would imagine like a big sort of Chinese or a Cambodian factory. I'm talking like little workshops where you then send it off and you can get the items that you need very fast, and actually not at a mad price. But it then fosters real creativity. I remember at the time just thinking, oh, well, not that you can just become a designer and you can just start making stuff, but thinking, oh, I can at least see the path. I don't have any of the skills to get to the top of that, to get to the finished product that's commercial and it's going to sell. But I think that's really interesting, you know, and to have more of that here, where there's lots of little communities. You know, we're not just sitting in our little silos or our rooms that we've got in whatever other artist studio, that we're truly working together, that we're really thinking, actually, we're even when it comes to thinking about manufacturing, when it comes to Sara O'Neill, that then she can lead a bit of a cause, that maybe we could find some funding for it, and next thing we're making linen again, or we are putting together fabrics, or we're finding creative ways to use some of the waste that's out there.
And then also collaborating with the universities and collaborating with, you know, other local businesses and things.
Grannies.
Yes, exactly. But every single person that we've listed there as our strategic partners has something different to add, and we like and respect them all very, very much. We're very, very grateful to have their insights, their expertise, and their names and their authority as well in this various subject matters of which they're experts. So yeah, we've got more exciting stuff to share on that as we go and as we have more meetings and share a lot of feedback and things. But the next thing that we want to talk about, and I'm sort of aware that we're running close to time as well.
No, but we like to talk a lot.
I know, but we also have meetings to go to, and we've got to let Seán get home as well. So we will. We've got two more things to tell you, and then we will wrap up. But we.
I didn't do it. I didn't.
So
do it.
no. So
Seán just give me this. It's sort of you're dead. If you were in the mafia 20 or 40 years ago.
But the next thing we want to talk about, which is extremely exciting, is our two new hires that are coming to work with us. So as part of Belfast 2024, Connor and I have taken on, there always has to be a lead artist and a lead producer role. Now, in terms of Another World and Show Some Love, Connor and I both produce and we both are artists. However, in terms of the Greenhouse project, it does make more sense that we both sit in kind of more contained roles in terms of what our outcomes and our deliverables are. So I'm going to be lead producer and Connor is lead artist.
I'm the Yoko.
And I'm the, oh no. Oh no.
Oh no, here she comes.
But we must remember that one actually. But because that good cop, bad cop thing is kind of working for us quite well. But no, so
I'm the good cop.
Yeah, I mean, no shit. But so we've got two very exciting, the caliber of people who applied for the roles. I don't know if you follow our social media, you may have seen us advertising them. We were absolutely inundated with amazing people that applied for the roles. So every phone call that we had to make to say that somebody hadn't been successful was a real punch to the gut for us, because so many people were really, really fantastic. But the people who were successful, oh my God, we're so excited to work with them.
We can't believe it. We can't believe it. We believe in ourselves, but at the same time, we're so grateful to have such massive talent join our small to medium-sized enterprise.
Yes, exactly. So the first person who I'm going to talk about is our friend as well now, you know, in that we have worked together. So it's Aoife McCrory, who has worked as Programme and Participation Manager for Arts Sector for the last 8 years and has a wealth of experience before that too. Aoife is somebody who you've heard us talking about before, actually, because Aoife is Brona Diamond's best friend. So you've heard us mentioning her on the podcast.
Diamond has a podcast called Word Up, and we are contractually obliged to mention it.
Yeah. So now that we've heard from our sponsor, but so actually Aoife, you know, indirectly is responsible for this podcast as well, because it was Aoife who brought Brona in to see us.
Yes.
You know, like it was going to see Brona in the shop. It was Brona coming into the shop. Brona saying, maybe you guys could come onto the podcast. We came onto the podcast. We met Brona.
That day.
Yeah, we met Seán. We thought, oh, we could do this too. So it's actually, as I say, down to Aoife, that because she has that magic of, do you know who you need to talk to?
Yeah.
Do you know? It's that thing that happens. It's like, how do we, and this is what Greenhouse is going to be all about, is a place for exactly that, you know.
It's a glue.
It is. It's a glue. Yeah. It's a stable. It's a portfolio. It's like connection. It's a connected community, you know. So Aoife is the crack.
Yeah.
She is so, you know, the first person that put a message into our group about the Devonish, of course, into our WhatsApp group was Aoife. You know, first, like, make it, that'll be our first staff do. But she's so wise, so switched on, really creative, really has her shit together, knows everybody, knows how to get stuff done, you know. So Aoife will
She's
be
a hustler.
Yeah.
You know, she's not a hustler, but she has
that hustle. Yeah, same like us.
Yeah.
You know, it's that factor that we need, you know. And she has amazing experience, and she wants to do something that is new, as we all do. You know, we all reach a point where we're like, okay, ready for a new challenge. So we are her new challenge. We'll have to know that
Good
one
luck.
as well. Yeah. But yeah, we're really, really excited to have her coming to join us. We get on so well together. We have such a shared respect. And actually we met because she, via Arts Sector, commissioned us to do the amazing project that we worked on last summer, which was a sustainable fashion show for young people. Bringing in different minority ethnic communities, queer community, and we created like a really fun series of workshops and then a fashion show as part of the Mela this year. So really, really delighted for that. We will go back to that though in a minute, because I'm going to let you now also talk about our other new
So we have some more news on our upcoming Arts Sector collaboration, but before that we're going to speak about our other staff member that we have been just so privileged, along with Aoife, to hire and to have on board. And we've had a few days this week. They haven't even officially started. We've had a few days last week even where we got together and kind of got to sort of meet and make up some ideas, and already it's so exciting. But this person, they're called Tony Webster. So lots of you out there will already know Tony for years was the shittest, hottest photographer, producer, creative director, image director here in this country, and created all sorts of things. So actually shot our friend Sassy and got that image into Italian Vogue. I think possibly they shot the one that maybe I was in once, something like that. They used to shoot my shows years ago, but they've always came from, I sort of think about Tony as two people. So the person that was here before that I would have worked with in the creative scene, and now the person that we've sort of got to know again and we've got to meet again. But Tony, years ago, was just bringing this other energy. So a lot of the time in a small community, people will, even in a creative space, seek safety so they can be reassured that they are that they're meeting those marks, that they are just like the person up the street. Tony is nothing like the person up the street. Is even just in the way that he works with models and how he interacts. Some of the ideas that he has then were really groundbreaking. So for me, then it was a real privilege to work with Tony. But he then since left and went off to Glasgow and then later London. And Tony, since doing all of his creative work here, started to work for, I think,
Soul Trader and Office and Shoe.
Yes, sort of worked his way up the ladder in terms of that, and ended up with Shoe, working with their global team in terms of imagery and all of the e-commerce stuff, in putting together those beautiful images that we know that brand for. Tony's responsible for those, so it's unbelievable to my soul to be saying this out loud, but we're really privileged to have him, and he's going to be coming on board to help us with those elements, but also help us with just our community, because beyond all of the creativeness and all of the style and all of the skill, he's a really good person. He's a very sweet person, and we're very excited to work with him.
Has loads of experience in the charity sector as well, and has photographed the likes of Raja and Detox and all of these incredibly globally recognised queens, and some, I don't think we said under the name Big Bad Llama, but we'll put links to Instagram.
He was the original BBL. So if you want to go and have a nosy at Tony's work, you can search at Big Bad Llama probably on all the social channels. And if you want to see Aoife, you can search for, you can see all of her work through Art Sector. It's Aoife in the Garden is her handle.
We'll put links to their Instagrams and their handles below. And Aoife also does, her extracurricular work is also just unbelievable. She's a huge campaigner and advocate and fundraiser for Palestine and other amazing initiatives that are just really centred in bringing people together and doing beautiful creative stuff, or supper clubs, or what do they call it, like a drink and draws and different things, so we're really, really proud to have them both, and we're really excited for us, it's just the idea of having people to be able to help us do all of the millions of ideas that we have, and to hear their ideas too, so we're kind of just like pinching ourselves at the opportunity that's about to come from this.
Until next week, where we're really, or last weekend, where we're able to sit round a table and really just thrash it out in terms of roles and responsibilities and dreams for the future. I was dying off. I was really worried. I know them, I love them, I trust them already, which is a gift, because a lot of the times you just don't know that with a staff member that's coming in. But the worry is that we have such a specific way of working that it would either disrupt that, or that way of working would disrupt other people. And I think what you're looking for is a gel, and I think we've really found that. So
for sure.
Very exciting, because we really need the help. This project in Greenhouse is massive, and it's such a big change for us. But we're super excited to have them, and we would love to welcome them on board.
Very exciting. So one of the other things that I want to... Sorry, we're just getting like hard eyes off Seán.
No, they're not. No, they're not actually hard eyes.
Are they not?
No.
Are they like laughing eyes?
We need a fucking yawn counter. Or you need some speed or something.
I was a yawn disguised by hard eyes. I just caught the end of that. God love you.
Just like a... That's what you do when you listen to Word Up? No.
She's going to kill you.
I don't think... We've bitched about her so much in this podcast, I don't think she even really listens.
And she knows, in fairness.
We are her biggest fan. She doesn't even know who we fucking are.
Yeah, whatever.
But anyways.
But, so we've got something really, really fun coming up, and just thinking about when you're listening, it's going to be coming up tomorrow. So we were talking earlier on about spaces in the city centre, and although this is a different type of space, but it is a space that if you are a community, or you're looking meeting space or event space and you need some help to do that, contact Emer in 2 Royal Avenue, because the Maywee team that run it are fantastic.
She's a make it happen person.
Yeah, just 2 Royal Avenue is a really great place, and this team that are running Belfast 24 had a huge part to play in 2 Royal Avenue too, so embrace it, go to it, support it. If we don't use these resources, we could lose them in the future.
Tell your local councillors that it's bloody brilliant. You love it.
Exactly. Just call in next time. They're dog friendly. They have beautiful coffee. Shout out to Reem in Yala. Beautiful food. There's always like a piano playing, and there's different types of activity on. It's just like a place to go to and be part of something. It's also warm, and a place to just sit and wait for somebody if you need to. So just actively be a part of it. So tomorrow, we're going to be doing a very special event with Keep Northern Ireland Beautiful, and they run by Siobhan, who is lovely, working with a cracker agency called Navigator Blue, and together we're doing a festival called Fashion Forever Festival. Christine from Colour and Cloth is going to be there doing some really cool stuff around things like natural dyeing, sharing techniques in terms of mending and sewing and things like that. I believe the Repair Cafe are going to be there. The Tools for Solidarity are going to be there.
But
Northern Ireland.
most importantly, we're going to be there.
I'm getting to that. Northern Ireland Resource Network are going to be there, and we're going to be there. We're going to be there selling. Our shop, which hasn't been open since Christmas, is going to be there. So people who have got swaps can come and take part. Our swapping activity is going to be happening. That's where you can bring us stuff that's still in good nick, that is able to be resold. We'll check it out. If we're able to say, yep, we'll take it, that means that you can take a £5 off voucher that you can use against any of the rest of our stock that's priced over a tenner, so that we still get something from the exchange, at the same time. It's a bit of a fundraiser. But the biggest and most exciting thing that we're going to be doing, as well as doing some talks and styling some models, is a project that was only just been released in the last week, and it's a globally recognised project that has been being run by Help Refugees, as a fundraiser for Help Refugees, rather, and it is called Little Amal. And so Little Amal is a 12-foot puppet that is walking round the world trying to find home. And Belfast City Council, as part of the commission projects for Belfast 24, are bringing her to Belfast. And she's going to be walking from Belfast to Dublin, I believe. Some of my words on this are based on the initial plans. So if anything has changed since I last heard it, then check. We'll put links below to what that looks like to see how you can take part or attend any of the events. But what Little Amal does whenever she's visiting a city or a country is she goes to sleep at night. And she'll sleep somewhere where it's sort of publicly accessible. So in our case, I think that's going to be St Anne's Cathedral. So we are working with Women's Tech.
We love women's tech.
Women's tech. Cool.
Shout out to Lynn Carville.
Yep,
she
and
is
Trisha.
She's wonderful.
Yeah.
She's a star.
Women's Tech is an amazing group doing amazing things. Does some really cool courses of a way to empower and engage women to be able to do things like plumbing and wallpapering and electrics and tiling and all kinds of stuff like that. Really, really cool project. They're going to make us a bed. So they're bringing that in as part of the skills that they're sharing. So the bed will have been made by women in the Belfast 24 colours and things like that. And what we're going to be kicking off tomorrow is a community sew-along in terms of creating a blanket that we will make from the people of Belfast, particularly younger people, as we'll be doing further workshops after tomorrow. But we're inviting you to come along and take part. So we will have unwanted clothing there that is able to be repurposed into making this community blanket. So we'll have patches there that you can decorate, you can paint, you can embroider, you can do whatever way you want to put your mark or your ideas or your thoughts that represent belonging and home onto this blanket. Then we'll be having more people adding to that over the next 4 or 5 weeks. In particular community groups, working with young people. And then they're going to go off to a fantastic company who I've forgotten the name of, but I will link to below, to turn it into an actual quilt run by the lovely Bridget Pullen, actually. I remember her name. And then that's going to be something that will be put over Little Amal whenever she's coming to stay with us. So it's something that is like, in terms of the world stage, like it's a really big deal for Belfast to get this project. So it's a really smart investment from Belfast City Council to be able to bring this project here that is all about the plight of refugees and how something that is so emotive can actually kind of spark some thought and some conversations to give us more empathy and more understanding as to why these things happen. So the event is going to be on from 10 until 3 in 2 Royal Avenue. We'll be right up at the front. So pop in, come and take part, come and add your mark or your patch onto the quilt that we're going to be making. You'll be able to read about it in press and things like that. And we will have further opportunities throughout the month to come and take part. So give us a shout and let us know if you want to come and take part, and we'll let you know when the further dates are as well, which will be taking place in our new space.
Very exciting.
So yeah, we're very, very, very chuffed to be involved.
real
And thanks to
privilege.
Arts Sector for inviting us to be a part of it as well.
It is a real privilege. Like Little Amal, if you haven't heard of it before, is globally famous and recognised. It is just, there's something about the way that puppet moves that is so deeply emotional. Even just the size of her and all the places that she's been. It's wonderful that she's coming to Belfast.
She's in Adelaide right now.
Oh, is she in Australia? In Australia?
Australia.
Oh,
yeah.
she must be there for the Fringe because the Fringe is there right now.
Yeah, could
And
be.
Ruby's playing. Yes,
Ruby
our wee
Chase.
friend. But yes, very, very exciting. So get down. If you're about tomorrow, we're going to be on 2 Royal Avenue, which used to be Tesco's beside Primark. So pop in and give back and use some, get to reuse some waste material and remake it into something that really is going to make a difference for local people.
So with that said, we are going to wrap up today, and thank you all for listening. Make sure to subscribe, make sure to tell your friends, do all of the stuff that we normally tell you at the end of the videos, and make sure to show some love. Bye-bye.